Okay, this is going to be a video on the process of how to do an underwater scene. This is one that I did with a kind of black around the edges. This is another one that I did. I just went with lighter colors. In my smaller journal, I've also done a couple in here. This one has a white around the border. This one I went all the way to the edge of the page, and I did a small circle on this page. So the very first thing I've done is I have now gessoed kind of a circle here for this page. I've gessoed all the way to the edge in the small journal, and I've used gesso all the way to the edge on this page. I use Liquitex gesso. And that's dried. I did it yesterday, so it's dried overnight. I have wax paper under my page so that I don't get paint onto my next page of my journal. And this is just regular paper. The gesso makes the paper more flexible and take the paint better without getting all crispy once it's dry. The paint I'm going to use today is Artist Loft Purple and Artist Loft Light Blue and Basics. These are from Michaels. They're very inexpensive washable acrylics. I've made a dab of each one onto my little plate, and I've also got black basics if I decide to bring in some black. The brush I'm going to use is a Blick Mega Brush, and this one is a number 30 round brush. That's white nylon. And this is a very fat brush, but it gives me some texturing to use. You can see I'm wearing a wrist brace. I'm a lefty, so I'm going to do most of the painting with my non-dominant arm today. So I'm just going to kind of just go in some random areas. I'm not going to paint all the way to the edge because I really like when there's a white space left, or if it's a black kind of a framed area. I've got two other journal pages going on at the same time because then I can let paint dry. Okay, now I'm not going to wash off my brush. I'm pretty much going to dab some of the extra paint off on a paper towel and then pick up another color. If you've ever gone snorkeling, there's a lot of colors going on underwater. You can see I'm not smoothing out the color. I'm going for some texture here. I'm going to lay out some color and then get back. Okay, now I've laid out color of each of these 4 colors on my plate. You can see it is not blended. I want it to be kind of a rough texture. I can see the white through part of the paper right over here. You can see the texturing right here. You can see where the blue is showing through the light blue. I'm letting it be messy. I'm going to let this dry, and we'll come back and continue this video. Okay, my paint is dry for all these pages. Last night when it dried, I actually put on my super secret golden regular gel. What this does is it makes the page shiny and smooth. You can see kind of there's a gloss to it because the Posca pens that I'm going to use are going to slide right over this gel, not get hung up and be jittering on the paint surface. Now the main shapes I'm going to use I drew out for you are these. You can see them if you look really close at what these shapes are. They're not complex to draw. Individually, they're not complex. Here, I'll move this out of the way. You can see. This page. This page. Okay, these aren't complex. So put them all together, it looks really nice. It's just this. To draw these shapes, I'm going to use a handful of Posca pens. It's kind of hard to see the colors, but this is red, orange, yellow, white, and green. I also have purples, light blues, whites, various other colors. But I'll pretty much stick with these colors against this background because these are opposites. Red and orange against blues and purples. These colors will pop. I've painted my first shape. The orange wasn't popping so well, so I did a second coat. It's just the regular Posca pen. And the second coat is really popping. I've added a little bit of green. The green's not popping as well as I'd like it to off these colors. See, you can see how well the warm colors are popping off the blues and the purples. So I'm not going to use too much green. I'm going to put a little bit over in this corner just to balance out the design a little bit. And then I'll probably switch to adding some red. So I've added some red. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to videotape while painting because I have to use my right hand to hold the camera and I have to use my right hand to paint. So I'm using colors that will pop. So red and green are opposites. So red would actually look really nice against green, but I don't have green as a background color. So I'm putting the red against the blue. Blue and yellow are actually opposites, and orange and purple are opposites on the color wheel. So I'm using that warm versus cool and complementary colors to help them pop off the page. So I'm going to keep adding these various shapes. Basically these. And take a break and come back. Okay, now I've added my paint kind of shapes to each of the 3 journal pages, but it's not done yet. I started adding some details. You can see I outlined some of these. I added dots here. I added some bubbles. I added a little bit of details, you can see. So now that's the key. Using white, using some contrasting colors, I'm going to add some details. You can see some dots in the middle of this one, but I didn't add it yet to this one. And those details, like maybe blue dots in each of these circles, will make that pop. Maybe a little stripe of a contrasting color in each of these leaves. to make these shapes jump off the page a little more. I'll be right back. Okay, I think these are done. You can see the details that I added. A lot of dots, little stripes. Oh, need to add something there. I'll get that in just a second. So here's the finished pieces. When they're all dry, I'm going to use this simple white candle. I think it's from Walmart for $1.99, and I'm going to rub it across the pages when they're completely dry, and that will prevent them from sticking to any other pieces of paper. But for now, I don't need the wax paper anymore. And these pages are done. Good luck. If you make one, please post pictures in the comments. I'd love to see what you create.